And finally tonight, living, playing, and preserving the Chicago blues. There he was on a recent night at the White House. Buddy Guy, 75 years young as he puts it, tuxedoed and jamming the blues on his electric Fender guitar for President and Mrs. Obama. 7 decades ago, George Buddy Guy was a world away. Growing up in Lettsworth, Louisiana, his family too poor to purchase a guitar. So he rigged an alternative with window screen wire.
I started stealing screen wire from my mom. We didn't have running water, naturally we didn't have electric lights. So I would steal that and try to pull it tight enough so I could hear it. And I remember my dad's friend says, Guy, that boy got some fingers. If he get a guitar one day, he'd probably be a good one.
He got the guitar and became a more than good one. Today, he owns the appropriately named Chicago Blues Club Legends and keeps up a busy performing schedule. He's told the story of how he got here in a forthcoming memoir titled When I Left Home.
The first thing I ever learned how to play was this. And guess what? I was on the wood pile. My sisters had ran me out the house and told my mom and dad, say, I'm tired of that noise.
Guy's story is tied to that of the great Chicago blues tradition. When he came here in 1957, part of the Black Migration North, he joined a scene that featured the likes of Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, extraordinary musicians and performers creating a new electrified blues sound. In those days, the music was everywhere.
If you went walking down 47th Street on a summer night, there was a bar here, there was a bar there. On each side of the street, the doors would open. These local guys, some of them didn't even stay around long enough to get a name, and they were sounding so good, you said, this must be Wolf.
So that was your education in a way?
Oh, I learned so much from that. Trust me.
Guy made his name as an incendiary performer. While many musicians at the time sat down to play, Guy stood and put on a show for the crowd.
Well, I'm going to prove myself because everybody was sitting down, as I said earlier. I said, I'm going to stand up and somebody's going to pay attention to me.
You prove yourself by getting up on stage and putting on a real show.
Put it on the show, yeah. I used to lay all down, kick it with my feet, and lay flat on my back and put it under me and my back and still could hit a few licks.
He had some success and recorded for Chess Records, the legendary recording company in Chicago. But that was both a blessing and a curse. You write in the book about coming to Chess Records and a sort of incredible home for the blues, but also a system that didn't work for the musicians in many ways.
When I first went in there, they would just put my name on a record, and I'm like saying, and they would say, well, I made you. Even the disc jockey was saying, if I play your record, I make you. You got to play for me free. And I did that a lot, and finally I said, I can't eat that, and I was like really hungry.
You felt like people were taking advantage of you.
Well, they was.
It was in the 1960s that blues became an international phenomenon as white rock and rollers, many from England, took up and popularized the music. Here you are with Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
David Bowie.
David Bowie, yeah.
Your world at that point sort of opened up to start playing with all kinds of, rock and roll musicians, huh?
We didn't have rock. Mm-hmm. Everything was an R&B player. It's still MUSIC, regardless of how you...
MUSIC, it's all music.
All music.
She had the nerve to put me out.
The rock stars borrowed the style, many publicly acknowledged the influence of Buddy Guy and others, and made lots more money. But Guy says it was a win-win.
Some of the guitar players that make more money in one night than I do in 10 years, they did me a favor. They did all of us a favor. The Rolling Stones, the Eric Claptons, and people like that helped. Ike and Tina Turner, B.B. King, and myself. They came back in and told the white audience who we were. Because a lot of white people wasn't listening to no blues 50 years ago.
These days, Guy is focused on keeping that tradition alive, and that's where the club comes in. When not on the road performing, Guy can be found there, signing autographs and sometimes jumping on stage.
Now one leg was in the east, and one leg was in the west.
People everywhere, he says, can connect with the blues. There's pain there, sure, but also so much more.
I didn't do my best. I've had people in Australia, Africa say, "Ugh, blues, it's sad." And I remember once I was checking into a hotel in New York, just getting to go to New York, and the receptionist looked at me and said, "Ugh, blues, it's sad." Mm-hmm. And it was a husband and wife, and I gave them a ticket to my concert, and they come out the next morning and say, "It's not sad."
What is it?
It's a part of life. If you pay attention to what some of the great writers write about, it's how can you say B.B. King's record, "I got a sweet little angel, I love the way she spreads her wing." How could that be sad?
Let me love you, baby. Let me love you, baby.
So what about you? You just going to keep going?
Well, you know, blues musicians don't retire, they drop.
You say that with a smile on your face.
Well, I love what I'm doing, and you know, the world is so mad now at everybody. If I do something to make people smile, I'm gonna say, "I got you for that moment." If it don't last, I made you forget about the other thing you might have been thinking about.
All right, Buddy Guy, nice to talk to you. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you so much. Anytime.